Hello and welcome to the Wicked Edition. Thank you for joining us for yet another classic episode of the show. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. It has been an interesting week. In fact, in the history of funny videos in Kenya, we've never had a video that describes almost every situation in Kenya like this one. Hey manze, uwe jamaa ameunga na nikoshua si gym, ni sembe. No pun intended. This video can fit in almost every context. Kwanza kuna hiyo mahaters wameweka ati mtu akijaribu kukutumia pesa kwa simu yako na uko na ile deni. Ati ukijaribu kupiga simu kwa mata hapo mudhurwa umefungua dirisha ati hello. Unaonea halo yako on the other side. Ati BBI ndio imepita parliament, imepita senate, inaiva for referendum, 5 judge bench. Every context mazi. Kwani mnafikiria hii picha haters wanaita null na ndugu yake void ilitoka wapi? Iko na context mob. Ati sasa ukidhubutu kukuwa na dem super na hauna pesa, ma sponsor. Ati ukiangukia ka pesa mahali, ati sasa umeamua unataka kufungua ka biashara uomoke KRA. Mazi. Haters would also argue that only weed can make a man eat this much or have that much fun with food. And talking about weed, in our previous episode, I promised to set something up concerning the weed legalization debate from a low perspective. The conversation has been picking pace lately. In fact, we picked an interest in doing a show on the legalization of bang in Kenya when we saw the Nakuru CBO story where the chairman said this while pleading with police officers not to uproot their weed.
I'm just asking, eh?
Yeah.
After Teme Mengoa hivi.
Yeah.
Sasa semekane ilikuwa we are legal.
Yeah.
Sasa tutarudisha aje?
Yeah, ni swali nzuri sana. Polisi wakingoa bangi, alafu ikuwe legalized the next week. Alafu, does it mean that serikali iko na deni yako ya bangi ama you are just caught a week too early? Hati afade msingoe, si agarau mkuje after hii senate ya Tuesday. Tuone vile wameamua na hii mambo ya mabobo. Bobo shante. Ama mtanirudishia 15 million. Now, this question by Ganja Farmer also prompted me to ask, if Kenya legalizes marijuana, what happens to all those who have been arrested before? Do they get released? To help us answer these and many other questions, we have two gentlemen, both of them lawyers. One of them is in the entertainment industry as a podcaster and a radio presenter. Conshizi is in the house. His learned friend, also in studio, is part of the team that defended the young girl who had been sent away from school for rocking dreadlocks on religious grounds. Mnakumbuka hiyo story? Innocent Makaka is in the house. Hapo sawa mazi. We'll be talking to them in a bit. But first, this week, the Competition Authority of Kenya has ordered bakers to disclose full information to consumers after claims that some bread manufacturers have been giving Kenyans a raw deal in terms of weight and quality of the commodity. If manufacturers comply, this will make CAK the literal breadwinners in Kenya. Now, for those wondering how they knew, word is that two CAK officials wanted to divide a loaf of bread between themselves. Wakapata ni 17 slices. So they decided to split it by weight. Kupima, wakapata kumbe hao ndio wamepimwa. So for fair distribution, wakadecide kuiweka kwa meza wanganganie. And that was not fair competition, and that's how the authority came in. Now, this uneven size of bread is the reason behind this phenomenon in all Kenyan high schools. It's a matter that needs to be looked into. Thank you, CAK. In other news, President Uhuru Kenyatta this week advised parents to stop pressuring children with academic performance cause it could be the leading cause of depression.
Jamani, let us work together and arm our children with the skills and nurture the talents that God has given them, as opposed to imposing on them what we think they should be. Sasa kama mtu amebarikiwa kuwa carpenter ambaye ndio atakuwa mjenzi wa manyumba kubwa kubwa Kenya hii, kwa nini wewe mzazi umlazimishe ati wewe utakuwa daktari? Na huyu mtoto hata akiona site ya damu ya mbuzi anasirai, lakini wewe unamwambia wewe utakuwa daktari.
Now from that speech, Kenyans have learned how to tell if your child will be a doctor.
Hata damu ya mbuzi akiona yeye ana faint tu, lakini wewe unamwambia wewe ni daktari.
There you have it. Kabla nilipe school fees, Samson, Jabron na Judas, mufae nguo nataka kuwapeleka out kia Michael. Nataka kujua kama kuna daktari hata mmoja kati yenu. Ama hiyo pesa niwafungulie tu mitumba direct. It can work. As a parent, ukitaka kujua kama mtoto wako ni daktari, unatembea na kichwa ya mbuzi. Ukipata anafanya homework, akifaint, mwambia amuka uende ucheze na watoto wengine huko nje. Taka kukulia watu hapa masaa na parts of a grasshopper. Now, for the legal insights on the legalization of marijuana in Kenya, najua mtu anaweza jiuliza kwani tumeamuaje na watu kwa issue. Tumewapatia miraa last week, leo tunawapea bangi. Point of correction. On miraa, we focused on transport. Hapa kwa bangi, what if it were legalized? It's a matter of national interest. Alafu, kuna watu wa bangi walijam juu ya vitu 2-3 nilisema in our previous episode. Stay tuned for the other side of the story. Our guests, Innocent Makaka and Konshizi, both lawyers with interesting vibes on this topic, are joining us on the other end of this short commercial break. See you guys in a bit. Welcome back to the weekend edition. I'm Dr. Kingori Maze. Conversation here, weed mnajua mahali imefika. Every time it keeps changing. Rastafarians have gone to court to petition for the legalization of weed for uses zenye mumeona, including kuoga nayo. Leo tuko na guests wenye wako, I believe, very qualified to have this conversation because both of them are lawyers na wote ni good vibes. Unajua mimi nikiwaambianga inakuanga guarantee. One of them is a podcaster, tena a lawyer. Konshizi is in the house.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Alafu na yeye pia ni Innocent Makaka. Lawyer mmoja alikuwa part of the team that represented ule dem fulani, mnakumbuka story yake kwa news. Alikuwa inasemekana amechujua shule kwa sababu ya dreadlocks na religion yake ni Rastafari. So leo mazi tunaongea mambo ya bangi, but si tunaongea mambo ya bangi na tunaongea na suti, na in fact tuko na maji pia on set. Na wale wanasemanga bangi endangi na maji. Innocent Makaka, karibu sana.
Thanks for having me, daktari.
Sawa. Juu nyinyi lawyers najua you know how to protect yourself and how to be careful. So in that case, I believe the best place to start this conversation ni mumaionja hata for research purposes.
I don't think it's in anyone's best interest to disclose that.
Thank you. Watu wa bangi, you know what that means. Wewe umeonja Innocent?
Daktari, leo tuna represent sheria.
Exactly.
Inasema.
No, amwezi ongelea
sana hiyo petition pia.
Sasa na mnajuaje ni nzuri kama mjaonja, kama mna represent?
Because we've been practical about the whole discussion. Because it's a fast rising discussion and it's gaining a lot of attention.
Yes.
There's a famous quote by Victor Hugo. He said, "You can't block an idea whose time has come." So I feel it's time we have this conversation and try to see the pros and cons of how we can, have this product decriminalized, for maybe medicinal use, recreational use, industrial. So it's a much needed conversation, I feel. We should have it. And I commend you for actually having it right now. It's a bold move.
Asante sana. I hope mama yangu atafikiria nimeanza kuvuta. Innocent,
yes.
From a lawyer's perspective,
yes.
If bang was be legalized today, kila mtu ameshikwa, ataachiliwa.
Daktari, kutakuwa na some procedures because kama ulishikwa hapo awali before hiyo bangi kuwe legalized,
yes,
inamaanisha bado ilikuwa against the law and you are properly incarcerated. But kitu yenye inaweza fanyika ni, for example, if this petition ikuwe na merit and the section that was criminalizing marijuana is declared unconstitutional,
yes,
kutakuwa na petitions mingi sana ya wale wenye wamefungwa na wanaona hao ni Rastafari, wamekuwa discriminated against. Wanaweza kuja now for review of their sentences. Because watasema now, basing on the new position of the law, kindly review our sentences. So itakuwa an individual effort. It's like now doing a case again. So the court has to interrogate the merits of the case too, so that waangalie, maybe it was excessive, either wa reduce ama uachiliwe. Lazima kukuwe na hiyo process ya kwanza, kukuja kureview zile judgment, na lazima ukuwe na merits na grounds za kuonyesha yenyewe I was Rastafari, na kuna hii judgment imesema if you are Rastafari you should not be discriminated against the sacrament that you partake as a Rastafari.
So no situation like ati kamiti ati watu wa banki muende nyumbani na msirudie tena.
Hapana,
msijaribu cocaine.
Sio rahisi hivyo, sio rahisi hivyo. Sheria ni process, na kui-reverse lazima pia take the same process.
Another headache maybe the government might face is how do they regulate the use of marijuana, the production, you know, how do they also regulate how the growers and the producers, you know, go about the business. So there's so many headaches. And that's why maybe the government or maybe governments are so hesitant in coming out clearly and saying we need to decriminalize marijuana.
I like the use of the word headaches in your explanation.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that there are people who would suffer inside because our government is sick enough. Hawataki kuongeza kuumwa na kichwa tena ndani.
Yes.
We credit weed to the Rastafari culture sana sana, right? Sindio?
Yes.
And before we got on set, you mentioned that even in Jamaica, where a country which can be credited as the cradle of Rastafari culture,
yes.
weed was decriminalized
just recently
in 2015.
Yes. Very
Right?
true. Very true. And that is the misconception that many people believe that weed has ever been legal in Jamaica. That wasn't the position. Yeah, it's just the culture. And I think, as what my colleague is just saying, it reached a point that you have to have real conversations, because people are smoking this thing more than cigarettes, yet it's illegal.
In fact, East Africa, mlisema tuko number
Yeah,
one.
Kenya is number 2 after Tanzania. Yeah.
After Tanzania,
about
yeah.
3.3 people consume the product.
So if they are consuming
They
that
smoke
much,
weed more than us.
Statistics. It was a lobby group in the UK that did that research.
Yeah.
They put Tanzania as number 1, Kenya is number 2, followed by Uganda.
Yeah.
It's the stats you know, are crazy. They show how much this product is consumed.
Hey, basi the effect on them is very different. It may affect tu kizungu yao peke yake. I wouldn't put Tanzania before Kenya in the weed smoking chart.
I know.
2 million Kenyans smoke weed.
Actually, the stats indicated 3 point something. 3.3?
3 point something million Kenyans smoke weed. 3 point something million.
Yes.
So hapa nje tunatembea na watu wanafaa kuwa committee as per the constitution right now.
Arguably.
yes.
Because ideally,
Yeah.
from a lawyer's perspective, what ukishikwa na bangi,
Yeah, it's a criminal offense.
it's a criminal offense.
Yes.
What are the charges?
Yes, okay, let me take it.
Yes.
Yeah, ukishikwa nayo, for example, kuna possession na kuna
Possession?
trafficking.
Traffic, yeah. The two
Yes.
things.
When it is certified that this is possession, and you certify the court that this is for personal use,
Yes.
the act prescribes 10 years.
10 years for pass moja.
Yes, but there is discretion, right?
By the judge.
Yeah, the magistrate has discretion to at least look at the circumstances surrounding and the volume of the product that you've been found in, but it's 10 years. And if it's not for personal consumption, if you cannot prove to court that it's not for personal consumption, the act prescribes 20 years. And if it's trafficking, the act prescribes life imprisonment or a fine of 1 million.
If it's not for?
If it's trafficking.
If it's trafficking.
Yeah, for example, it's in transit, or you're caught with numerous amounts, that is now trafficking. So that one, the act prescribes life imprisonment or a fine of 1 million or both. You remember there was a recent case in Mombasa when a gentleman who was caught with less than 200 joints of marijuana was sentenced to life. There was uproar, but that is what the act says. Because they were like, in Mombasa, this thing is so rampant, drug abuse is rampant, so they had to give the maximum. So that is the maximum when you're trafficking. Actually, I think the accused pleaded guilty for trafficking. So
200 rolls, si
Yes.
angesema ni zake mpaka November, one daily.
Yeah, the
Hata
court
haifiki
gave him
November,
life
si ndio?
imprisonment.
Yeah.
200 days, kwani ni how many months? One per day. That's not a defense.
Yes. That can't be a defense. You know, the law is a bit very harsh currently as we speak.
Bang is not specific to Rastafari. sindio?
Yes.
So ukishikwa nayo, if it's legalized for Rastafari, you have to prove that you're using it as a sacrament.
Yes, yes.
Haile Selassie.
Yes, Daktari. And actually that's the difference between the bill and the bill that is before, I believe it's before Parliament. I don't know which position. The bill that was sponsored by the deceased MP, Ken Okoth.
Yes.
The bill, I think it's before Parliament. And the bill actually seeks to remove cannabis as a psychotropic or narcotic drug. So to that extent, it means it will be legalized if the bill succeeds, even for recreational use. Hence now what my learned friend anajaribu kusema, the challenges that the government may face trying to implement now the position. But the petition before court, which has been filed by my colleague, Mr. Shadrach Wambui, that one is specific to Rastafari religion. So what you're saying is right. Hiyo yao ni ya Rastafari peke yake. So with them, wanasema they're being discriminated against conscience, belief, and opinion because the Constitution guarantees such rights. So it is incumbent upon the state to make sure that no one is discriminated because the same Constitution says that you shall not be discriminated against religion. So Rastafari has said, this is our sacrament. Who are we to say this is not a sacrament? That is the question that I'm sure the courts will be dealing with. Okay. And another issue will be, how will it be administered? Will the Rastafarian community within its membership regulate it? For example, will it be for specific people? Will you go through certain training before you are allowed to partake? So those are the challenges that has been facing this issue.
I'm so glad that both of you are lawyers. Sasa wewe ukisikia akisema Rastafari wamekuja court, wanaambia judge, this is our sacrament. Legalize it.
Yeah.
So it's your sacrament. Mumekuwa mkiitumia.
Yes. Let me just before I answer that, yes. It's not a unique discussion in Kenya because people think maybe it's a discussion that's unique to us Kenyans. If you look at jurisdictions around Africa, South Africa, it's legal, but for medical use and personal use.
Yes. In
Zambia, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, and even next door Rwanda. But for Rwanda, it's unique because they allowed for medical use just for export. So it's still illegal to consume it in Rwanda, but you can use, they allowed it for medical use just for export.
For medical use in Amanisha,
yeah,
you can only consume it as tablets.
It can be developed as a drug. It can be used to be developed as a drug. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it becomes a drug that can now be...
Or with nyonya tu atili ya kupiga kiberiti.
No.
You have to go through a process.
Prescribed.
Yeah, prescribed.
It has to be prescribed by the doctors.
But,
even in Kenya, there is a license that you can get to do research on these drugs. Wow. Yes, even in Kenya that's allowed, even in the Act, the 1994 Act. That's what the Rastafari are seeking to impeach, the 1994 Act.
Afande niko na barua ya bangi.
Yes, you can get, but practically, I don't know how it works. But in the reading of the law, you can be given a license to either do research, carry out research, because even carrying out research, you know, that is important. Si ati use ama kitu kama hiyo, but just carrying out research so that what my colleague is saying, the international standards, why are people bordering to this conversation so much currently? Yes. So it's important to have that discussion. Okay. And the reality is that people are using it so much in Kenya and other African countries. So we should ask ourselves why, and is it something that we should consider probably amending?
The discussion should be expanded to, we're not saying we don't have challenges in legalizing the product, but we can't just ignore the conversation and not see what's happening around other jurisdictions, like in Africa, like we said, South Africa, Canada, even in the USA. Like more than 17, 18 states, it's legal.
Yes.
And it's a booming business. The hip-hop icon Jay-Z right now is in the business, and Snoop, it's a business worth over $200 billion.
Yes, Snoop si hata alikuwa anaekewa kwa maziwa akiwa mdogo.
Exactly. So, and we need to maybe see the benefits that accrue to it. Maybe these guys will pay taxes, will create jobs maybe in these factories. We'll have people who get employment. You know, the government will reap from that. But like I said, we need intense research before we just make that move. But we can't ignore that discussion.
Okay.
It's a much needed conversation.
Thank you. In the likely event that this petition goes through, watu wa Rastafari waambiwe sacrament iko.
Yes.
Ndio hiyo.
Yes.
Does it mean the rest of the population ndio uvute lazima ule dread?
That's an interesting question, Daktari. If this petition goes through, it means the court will have declared Section 3, which criminalizes marijuana as
yes.
unconstitutional.
Yes.
Now, other players have to come in because the judge can only declare the section as unconstitutional, but they cannot make law. They cannot amend the law or make the law. So it will be upon the National Assembly to start the process of trying to, and the Law Reform Commission working together and all stakeholders, try to marry the judgment to the reality in terms of policy and legal framework. With the Rastafari community, I'm told to believe that it's not all about dreadlocks, but I agree with the challenge of after the judgment, if the judgment succeed, how will you tell that this is a Rasta? I agree with that challenge. Yes, I agree, because mtu akishikwa atakuwa anasema mimi ni Rasta. So yes, because your petition is specifically for Rasta as a sacrament. Because Constitution gives you the right to religion and worship and conscience, you know, and the Rasta who profess that religion, they take marijuana as a sacrament or as a, you know.
Then what stops me from coming up with my religion, register it, alafu niseme my sacrament is cocaine?
Good question, by the way. But when you go to, let me take you back to when marijuana and cocaine and heroin were listed as dangerous drugs. In the 1961 UN Convention, that's when they were listed as very dangerous drugs. And so it's clear in the laws, cocaine is a very dangerous drug, and marijuana and heroin is dangerous. But recently, WHO advised the UN to delist marijuana from one of the most dangerous drugs, and it did that.
Yes.
Right now, marijuana is not in that list, alongside cocaine and heroin. So it shows you, all indications are, it's something governments and bodies like the UN are taking bold steps to decriminalize this product. So I feel like even our government here, it's a wake-up call. Let's not be hypocritical and walk on eggshells and not having this conversation, because this product is being consumed widely.
Yes.
The underworld market is thriving, but no one wants to be the person on the forefront.
Where do people draw the confidence? Yeah, toying with 10 years. If 10 years ndio hii unaona, where do people get that confidence from?
I feel like the confidence maybe is coming from this product being widely consumed by everyone. Like almost everyone is consuming this product. So I feel like the normal human being, the Wanjiko, feels like, I don't think it's a wrong thing I'm doing right now.
It's normalized.
Because you find X is smoking, Y is smoking, Z is smoking. So that's why we're saying we need to have this conversation on a more serious level, but a sober conversation. We don't want anyone to be in feelings about it.
Sober conversation on weed.
No, on how to regulate the product. Because the more we don't have it, the more it's thriving underworld.
Yes.
And people are making billions of money, millions of shillings in the underworld.
No, I think based on this conversation, it is my submission that weed is probably just smoke. The reaction people feel ni adrenaline. Budo unajua unaweza kuwa ndani 10 years nikichikwa na hiki. No, for it. It is my submission.
Actually, I've heard some people say that what makes weed sweet, quotes in quotes.
Yeah.
It's
The idea that you
aspect
could-
that you may be caught and be sentenced to 10 years, as you're saying. But imagine something with such hefty penalties, people are still using it. Now that is the question. Daktari, if you go to any street in our hoods, ulizia tu mtu hapo base,
The pedi.
atakuonyesha everywhere.
So tuseme kama wewe unajua kama mimi anaweza jua ati I can go na niulize nipate pedi, right? So if the police decided to do a crackdown, watu 3 million wanaingia ndani.
Even more. You know, these statistics are just, they like entirely accurate. It's just an...
Maybe more.
Yeah, a survey. So it can be 10 million people.
So some Kenyans are free because we don't have enough facilities. Because we are a third world country. Committee haiwezi tosha.
That too, because even like earlier we were having that discussion with Innocent and say, governments around the world might have this problem or maybe headache, like you said, of how do we regulate the use, the production of this product if it becomes legal or decriminalized. Because we are faced with a situation where it will be so rampant and maybe the government might be unable to regulate the whole sale, production, and consumption. So I feel that's why maybe they're so hesitant in maybe, decriminalizing the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Manzi, asanteni sana kwa kamsho yetu.
Thank you.
Innocent Makaka is professional mediator and also a practicing advocate. Akikuja hapa si ati yeye ni reverend wa mabangi. Hapana, he is a professional. Manzi. Asante sana kwa kugrace show yetu.
Thank you, Daktari, for having me.
Manzi. Alafu pia in studio tuko na Conshizi. Conshizi ali-expose ushamba yangu in a way that I don't think I'll move on in the near times, as in the near future, kwa sababu Conshizi runs a podcast inaitwa Conshizi Podcast, iko on YouTube. Alafu handle yake nikamuuliza nimekuwa naiangalia inaitwa Confidentone. Alafu akalenga sana kumwambia Confidentone. So mimi nimeng'ara hapa vile nilishaangalia podcast najua yeye ni Confidentone. Alafu akaingia be smooth akaniambia ni Confident one. Oh Lord. Asanteni sana kwa kukam show.
Thank you.
Asante, karibu na karibu tena. That's it for the weekend edition. Dr. Kingori. See you next week, same time, same place.